Most people quit too early. They pray for success, but they cannot endure the process. They plant a seed today and expect a tree by tomorrow. The moment life becomes slow, difficult, or painful, doubt creeps in. They look sideways, comparing themselves with others. They lose hope. And they walk away just before their time was about to come. But life has a quiet, stubborn rule. The people who stay patient during hard times are often the ones who win in the end. My name is Alice. And this is the story of a donkey who taught an entire village the true meaning of patience. In a small, dry village, there lived a poor farmer named Zach. He was not rich. He was not strong. He was not famous. He owned a tiny house, a few worn farming tools, and one old donkey named Speed. Speed was not like a horse, swift and proud. His body was thin, his fur dusty, and his steps so slow that villagers would stop and stare whenever he passed. And they did not just stare. They laughed. "Villager, why do you still keep that useless animal? He's too old. He works too slowly. Sell him and get something worth your time." Zach always smiled at this. He would look at Speed, then back at the crowd, and reply calmly. "Zach, slow does not mean useless." Every morning, before the sun rose, Zach loaded small sacks of vegetables onto Speed's back and set off for the market, miles away. The roads were rocky. The heat was heavy. Horses passed them easily. Zach often arrived late, sold little, and walked home with unsold vegetables and empty pockets. Some evenings, there was barely enough food for dinner. One such evening, Zach sat quietly outside his house, staring at the ground. His eyes were tired, not just from the walk, but from something deeper. "Zach, I work every single day. And yet, nothing changes." As the words faded into the still air, Speed walked slowly toward him and rested his old head gently on Zach's shoulder. Zach closed his eyes and let out a sad, soft laugh. "Zach, at least you understand me, old friend." The very next morning, Zach made a decision that puzzled everyone who heard it. Instead of taking the main road to the market, the fast road, the road everyone used, he turned toward the mountains. The longer path. The harder path. The path no merchant bothered with. "Villager, your donkey is already the slowest creature in the valley. And now you choose the longest road? Have you lost your mind?" Zach said nothing. He and Speed walked on. As they moved through the mountain pass, Zach noticed something the rushing world had overlooked. Wild fruit trees grew along the roadside, heavy with produce. And travelers, tired, thirsty, hungry travelers, crossed these mountains every single day. Yet not one person sold food here. Everyone was too busy chasing the faster route. Zach stopped walking. He stood very still. And he thought. The next day, he brought water and fresh fruit alongside his vegetables. As he crossed the mountain, weary travelers approached him with grateful faces and eager hands. For the first time in months, Zach returned home with every last item sold, and more money than he had seen in weeks. Weeks passed. Then months. Word spread quietly among travelers. There was a kind farmer on the mountain road. He arrived at the same time every morning. He never overcharged. He never rushed. He was simply there, patient, reliable, honest. People began to wait for him. Meanwhile, back on the main road, things grew worse. Too many farmers, too little space. Prices fell. Arguments broke out. Many men came home angry, their unsold goods rotting in the heat. But Zach and Speed walked their mountain path slowly, steadily, day after day. Then one afternoon, a wealthy merchant was traveling through the mountains when he saw Zach crouched beside an injured traveler, bandaging a wound, asking for nothing in return. Speed stood patiently nearby, carrying his heavy load in silence. The merchant watched for a long moment. Then he approached. "Merchant, you are different from other men on this road." "Zach, life taught me patience." The merchant paused, then made an offer that would change everything. "Merchant, I need someone trustworthy to transport goods through these mountains every week." Most men refuse, the road is too difficult. "But I have watched you. Will you take the work?" Zach looked at Speed. Speed blinked back at him. "Zach, yes. We will." That single opportunity was the turning point. Over the following years, Zach earned enough to buy more land, repair his house, and live in quiet, well-earned peace. The village that once mocked him began to respect him. His name carried weight. But every morning, without fail, Zach still walked beside Speed. One day, a young boy sat watching them pass and tugged at Zach's sleeve. "Boy, everyone says you became successful. How did you do it?" Zach looked at Speed, old now, slower than ever, and smiled. "Zach, because of him." The boy's face scrunched in confusion. "Boy, but he's just a donkey." Zach crouched down to meet the boy's eyes. "Zach, he is the reason I learned patience. Everyone around me wanted speed. They wanted quick answers and instant rewards. They laughed at slow progress. But this donkey showed me something they could not see: slow steps still move forward. Patience still reaches the destination. You do not need to be the fastest. You need to keep going." Years later, a terrible storm swept through the valley. The rain was merciless. It fell for days without pause. When the clouds finally cleared, the main road, the fast road, the road everyone trusted, was gone. Washed away completely. Trade stopped. Crops rotted. Farmers who had built everything on that quick route lost it all in a single night. But the mountain path held. It had been built on harder ground, tested by years of slow, steady use. And so it was Zach's route that carried food and supplies to the entire village. The same people who had once laughed at his old donkey now stood quietly at the mountain's edge, watching him pass with deep respect. One elderly villager bowed his head as Zach walked by. "Old villager, we judged him because he was slow. We were fools." Zach paused. He spoke without anger. "Zach, the world laughs at patience because it cannot see the future." That night, Zach sat beside Speed beneath a sky full of stars. Speed had grown very old. His steps, once merely slow, had become gentle and fragile. His breathing was soft and deep. Zach rested his hand on his old friend's neck. "Zach, you carried more than vegetables all these years, old friend. You carried my dreams when the whole world told me to let them go." A few days later, Speed passed away peacefully at the edge of the mountain road he had walked 1,000 times. Zach buried him beneath a great tree overlooking the valley, a tree that had grown tall and wide over many long, patient years. People came from across the village to pay their respects. Because by then, every soul in that place knew the story of the patient donkey. Beside the grave, Zach placed a small carved wooden sign. He had chosen the words carefully, the way a man chooses the words that matter most. Fast people may arrive early, but patient people arrive stronger. And that is the lesson of this story. Patience does not mean doing nothing. Patience means continuing to move even when no results are visible. Even when the road is long. Even when others race past you and laugh. Most people destroy their own future because they cannot survive temporary discomfort. They quit too soon. They switch direction too quickly. They panic the moment life slows down. But success is not always about talent or speed. Sometimes success belongs simply to the person who refuses to stop. A tree takes years before it gives fruit. A river cuts through solid rock, not because of power, but because of consistency. Drop by drop. Day by day. Never stopping. And just like Speed the donkey, sometimes the slowest journey creates the strongest life. If life feels slow right now, do not lose hope. Your patience may be building something far greater than you can currently see.